swear to God, if you don't subscribe, if you don't ask a question in this week's Q&A, I'll kill Buck.
Ultimate Halo.
Alright guys, don't worry, I won't kill Buck. Just as long as you subscribe, and also in the comment section down below put hashtag AskFletch. That way I can find your question. Just ask a question, whether it's Halo Infinite related, Halo, my Halo collection, just me related, life related, whatever you want. Leave it below and it'll be in next week's video, potentially. So the first question we have is from Lone Tech Wolf. Now this is a tricky one because I literally have no clue, so I'm just going to give you my best thoughts. So he says, I noticed that the Prometheans didn't appear in the gameplay demo or trailers for Halo Infinite. I was wondering, what role do you think the Prometheans are going to play in Halo Infinite's combat? I was thinking, could it be like the Sentinels in Halo 2 on the Sacred Icon mission, like being spawned in by generators due to players' actions? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And the thing is, the Prometheans still exist within the Halo universe. I'm not one of the lucky ones to read Halo Shadows of Reach just yet. I'm very eager to do that once it comes out. However, one of the things about Halo Bad Blood or New Blood? Bad Blood. Halo Bad Blood did show the Prometheans in the game, and they're playing very much a patrolling kind of policing role in the galaxy, as you could imagine by Cortana's rhetoric as such. So it is possible that we will see them in some form. I think it will be kind of on 343 to ensure that the Banished are the main threats. I suspect they are in some way working with Cortana or calling some sort of truce, or maybe they've subdued Cortana and the created forces. It's really hard to tell at this point. Obviously Shadows of Reach might shed some light on that, and we will make videos about that as and when the time comes. But for the time being, I have no clue. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm not that bothered if they don't come back, ultimately. Yeah, there are some times when they're fun to play, but I think the Covenant are much better. The combination of Jackals, Grunts, Elites, Brutes, Hunters. I just think it's a timeless cycle of gameplay. So, time will tell. So I suspect this next question came off my last video about the 7 art style and design things 343 have done right in the Halo franchise. And it's by Centurion072, who says, I know that you happen to like the Halo 4 to 5 Master Chief armor. I liked the Halo 4 variant, but I thought 5 had a significant downgrade compared to the armor in Halo 4. What are your thoughts on the differences between the armors in both Halo 4 and 5 and how it's handled? Lovely question. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they're not all that different. I think there are more similarities than differences. I think they got rid of the space diaper thing. Yeah, I wasn't too keen on that. Obviously the black undersuit's there, but they're very similar. I feel like Halo 5's Master Chief was toned down ever so slightly, obviously remodeled, so it's a cleaner look, a cleaner model. But overall, I would say I do love Master Chief's Halo 5 design, although I've been quite vocal in saying that I think Halo Infinite is by far, hands down, my favourite Master Chief armour. That's because it just takes mixtures of everything that was good about all of Chief's armor iterations and combines it into one. And I don't know why, but I'm also just a really huge fan of the 117 being on his chest. I think the iconography that has always been associated with him but never has been physically seen with him design wise other than Halo Legends is now here. I think it's a really good way to sort of just show you clearer it's Chief. Not that you need that, but you know what I mean. Okay, I like this next one, and I feel like it could happen. I think if the Slipspace engine has been such a huge investment, I think it's something we'll likely see. So Muge Ryance? Why can't you have simple names? Do you think Halo Infinite should have spawnable AI? If so, how do you think you'd like to see them implemented and used in gameplay? I think this has been probably one of the top Forge requests other than an undo button since Forge was a thing. I think from Halo 3, people have seen modders, well, people have seen prior to this, but modders placing AI into the games. Game Cheat does the AI versus series, and it's so entertaining just seeing how each AI class rankings go against each other and who wins. But I think, especially because fans have a bit of a clamouring for Firefight, and Firefight's great. I'm not the biggest fan. I prefer something, I would happily, let's say, take Invasion over Firefight if I was to have a choice. I think Firefight kind of, it's a bit too repetitive for me, and even though Halo Reach had a lot of customization, I still felt in principle it's still the same. So I would say that it would do a lot of good for the game. I think it would be implemented in a Forge setting if that was ever to be the case. Who knows? Time will tell. I think it's likely. I feel like it's likely. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, so this next question is from OMA Monster, which is a buddy of mine who has helped out on this channel before. He's asking a few questions. I'm not going to answer them all. I'm going to select specific ones. So, first of all, he asks, what do you think of the decision to delay Halo, and how do you think it will affect the next generation launch and reception? Personally, I think, obviously it's a big hit to Microsoft, but it'd be even bigger hit to Microsoft if Halo Infinite was to come out and it wasn't the full package or wasn't at the quality that it should be at. So I think having that reviewed poorly would really affect the game more than it coming out on time, if you know what I mean. So he also wants to know, why do I think Halo Infinite needed the extra time? Was it just due to COVID-19? And I would say, yeah. The thing is, I've said this, I don't know how many times on this channel, but the thing is, video games are that collaborative, complex. There's so many different teams, talent, skill sets, working together on one thing. And it's easy. It's much easier when I can just walk up to somebody's desk, say, yo, this isn't working, or I need this tweaked, or I need that, and that. And of course, it's not that simple. You know, project management is a huge and complex task in video game development. But doing it from home remotely, doing these things over video meetings, you can't just call someone on a whim, they'll have a meeting booked in at this time, and that time, and that time. The dynamic just isn't there, and obviously the productivity has reduced. Maybe things are slipping through the cracks in terms of quality assurance as well, you know, so they might need more time just to whittle out those weeds. We'll look at the pop-in from the Halo Infinite trail gameplay reveal. That was a really obvious sign of, okay, this game definitely needs more time, it needs optimizing better. So that's definitely one of the key elements, and I think, yeah, it is COVID-19. Who knows, it might be delayed anyway, but I suspect that might not be the case if it wasn't for COVID. And the next question I'm going to go with is, do you think Microsoft should have called a team in earlier to help with Halo Infinite? And I say maybe, but how do you predict a global pandemic? You know, and I think the announcement, I can't remember the studio name, I'll try find it and put it on screen afterwards, but the studio that has come in to help with Halo Infinite, this won't be just like a recent thing. You know, this probably would have been in the pipeline, and I think these days what you find with a lot of development studios is they do bring in studios just at the last minute just to help with polish and doing some of the parts just to assist with the development, because you want your core teams working on the core of the game, but once you know what the vision is and everything's starting to get stitched together, sometimes you just need that extra studio or two or however many to come in and help. And I think having that throughout development, for one, dilutes development, dilutes the vision, and finally, it's expensive. You know, bringing an extra studio item for a 5-year development cycle, that's a hell of a lot of money. So I think they probably did it when they felt was right, and I think that's probably the best time to do it. Yeah. Just a slightly off-topic one. I don't mind these kind of questions. So what's your favourite historical topic? World War II. I'm a sucker for a World War II film. One of my favourite films is Saving Private Ryan. So, yeah, I used to love learning about that at school. I still watch documentaries about it to this day, but yeah. Okay, so assuming, this is from Ms. Precursor saying, assuming you haven't read Shadows of Reach, because I'm not asking you to spoil anything, like I say, I haven't read that unfortunately. The short story entitled Sacrifice in Shadows of Reach Walmart Edition, Troy Denning says not to be too afraid of the title, though it would make sense to tie into a book when you read it. I think I've read that right. If someone's sacrificing themselves in it, who do you think? If not, what do you think the short story is going to be about? Honestly, no idea what the short story is going to be about. If it links into Shadows of Reach, I definitely do not think that it will be anything related to Blue Team. I think Blue Team are too core and central to Master Chief's character just to kill off on a little side story tangent. You know, that would have profound impacts on Chief, especially when he's already going through so much as Cortana's doing her in the galaxy, and she's being a real pain in the backside, shall we say. I'm not too sure on who the cast is in Shadows of Reach. Obviously Blue Team's in there, but there may be some other side characters that assist them along the way. Of course, we can't always just expect it to be Chief, Linda, Kelly and Fred, you know, so there may be some elements that come into play there, so who knows. I honestly can't provide any answers to that. but we'll see. Okay, so lastly on this one, I'm just conscious of time. We'll do more next week. Remember, hashtag ask Fletch in the description and then ask your question. Okay, so lastly, it's from Only Spartan 233. I'm not even sure he asked this question because of the Q&A, but I'm going to answer it anyways because it's an interesting topic. Will Halo Infinite have a Doom or Fallout skin? And I think it's quite likely, maybe not immediately on launch because I think they'll be just concentrating on getting the work done for the time being. But I think there's definitely going to be some Bethesda references or skins or something related to those franchises because of Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax Media, who in turn own Bethesda and all the studios under that wing. So I think it's very likely. I think the only thing I'm conscious of is not mixing Doom Guy and Master Chief. I think one of my worst nightmares is having Doom Guy's armor in Halo Infinite. If there was some sort of armor that looked similar and paid reverence to it, I wouldn't mind that. But I'm conscious, like, I don't want a Gears of War scenario where we're bringing Spartans into Gears of War. I think that probably works more in that way, but I think bringing other franchises into a Halo environment just doesn't quite fit right with me. And one example I will give is Hayabusa armor from Halo 3. Now, for some reason, not a lot of people know this, but Hayabusa was in reference to Ninja Gaiden, or Gaiden, however you say it. I say Gaiden? Ninja Gaiden, let me know in the comments, I'm not sure on that one. But the main character in that game is called Ryo Hayabusa. Now on screen, I'm going to show you like a side-by-side, and you can see the armors are incredibly similar, but Halo still does it in its own way. It still looks like it could kind of exist within Halo's lore and universe. So if they were to do that, I want everything to be adapted, not just straight up ported across, because I just don't think that works. But anyway, that's all for today's video. Next week we might have another top 7 or see what news comes our way. But once again, my name is Fletch on Ultimate Halo, and I'll see you next time.
Subscribe now to Ultimate Halo for more unfriggin' believable Halo content.